Hello. Hi, guys. So I thought I would give you an update on Telltale. And, if you haven't heard the news, Telltale Games, creator of many of my most beloved adventure game franchises, such as Tales from Monkey Island, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, a lot. They make a lot. Telltale has closed. They closed last week under some fairly questionable circumstances.
What you and your agency are doing here isn't right.
And I'm here to detail some of those circumstances to you, the viewer, if you already don't know about it. So Telltale closed suddenly last week. Apparently, management didn't give much forewarning to the staff. They just basically gave them like a one-day heads up, like, hey, by the way, the company's closing. You need to find a new job. So that's it's pretty bad to not give your employees a lot of warning when it comes to finding a new job, especially in an industry where I'm sure the application process can take months. I'm sure there's a lot of people from Telltale who now have to find jobs at freaking supermarkets or restaurants, that kind of stuff. It's a real travesty, especially considering how talented many of the staff of Telltale are. So, what did it? What did Telltale in? Well, I'm thinking it's most likely simply a lack of sales. I mean, I always saw Telltale games on sale, never full price, and that alone kind of diminishes the value of a game when it's always going to be held on sale. I remember thinking myself, like, hey, Batman, it's going to be, $30 right now. Maybe I'll get it on sale for $10. That seemed to be the case for most other Telltale series. They always would become heavily discounted later in the year, I think, to promote the later episodes to be purchased. So, so it was always a company that would have its games on sale, because I'm assuming people weren't buying it as readily as other more casual or more accessible style games, because Telltale games, all in all, they are adventure games. They are story adventure games. They are games that are very niche for players who know what they're getting themselves into, not for people who are like, oh, where's the gameplay? If that's going to be an issue for you, the Telltale series would not be the best for you. Hey, sweetie. But that being said, I find that the loss of Telltale Games is a huge loss for the industry, for me as a consumer. I was always a big fan of their games, and I was always looking forward to what new stories and ideas they could come up with. I would have been probably most excited for The Wolf Among Us Season 2, which they had announced. They had announced a host of other games, really kind of getting your hopes up a little bit about what they had in the works. But Wolf Among Us Season 2 certainly not happening now. The Walking Dead might have its last episodes released. Today I heard that they were attempting to find the original crew for The Walking Dead to maybe finish the last episode or two. I highly doubt it. I mean, without paying people, or, these people probably already have trying to find other jobs. So, last minute being like, hey, you want to finish this game, after we, fired you or laid you off with, only 9 days of medical insurance, and it's a very ugly situation. And I mean, I would love to see the game completed. I'm probably going to hold off on The Walking Dead now because I know the story's not going to be finished. If it does finish, I will play it. But I don't want to finish a unplayed story or play an unfinished story because, I mean, I'm a fan of Shenmue. I can't get burnt by that, even though Shenmue is finishing, actually. Which brings me to my last point, hope. Hope for Telltale, of which I think there is some.
Well, I'm sick of keeping out of sight. I put together a little crew. It's time to get things moving again. A plan to bring them all to justice.
You have Kickstarter, you have Patreon, you have all of these stories of companies who are at the bottom of the bottom in terms of their financial situation, only to be propelled forward by their fans, by backers, by investors. So that might happen with Telltale. I could foresee Telltale kind of trimming down to maybe hopefully a more primordial form of its original or its most recent form. So what I'm talking about is, I mean, originally Telltale, I was playing Telltale for a very long time, back when it was making the Monkey Island game, you know what I mean, which was awesome. That came out, a pretty long time ago, so I've been following them for a while. And back then, they were a small company. They were an indie developer, basically. They were an indie developer that had like a decent graphics engine. So I don't think they had a whole huge amount of staff that they did towards the end of their life. Like I was seeing, they had as many as 250 employees, and I can't imagine they had more than 30, back in the original days. So I could see maybe a resurgence of Telltale, or perhaps a new company being created using some of the original staff, and maybe from there they can make more games. We'll see, and I hope the best for Telltale and its employees. They are a very talented crew of people who can make a really great story. I would be just as happy if I could see the skills of these people put to use in other high-budget games. I mean, for instance, look at Spider-Man on PS4. It's a beautiful game with beautiful gameplay, and even the story is pretty decent, but imagine a Telltale story in that game. It would be epic. It would be amazing. It would be something we would care more about than what we're given. You know what I mean? You get like the Avengers, that's great, but you want something that's gonna actually make you feel and think about it, and that's what Telltale does. So I hope a lot of the staff that is responsible for those kinds of stories in their games are brought onto other games, and they should certainly be paid and compensated well for it. But if I do see a indie team brought out because of this, where a smaller staff, and certainly it's easier to develop games nowadays with all these engines. I think that they could make a pretty decent adventure game without the huge budget and staff that they had. It seemed like the company was getting a little bloated and not able to sustain itself, and then it's time to trim the fat, start over, new beginnings, new company. I don't know, but we need adventure games. We need those niche story adventure games. So please come back, Telltale, or make your own freaking company, or start over. It's the internet. It's the golden age of the internet. Let's just freaking, you get 100,000 people to give you $5 a month. Let's say you got $500,000 every month. That's a pretty decent budget for a small team. If you can start a Kickstarter and try to get a group of fans, I don't know if you have 100,000 people as fans, but if you get 100,000 people to give you $5 a month, a subscription service, where you guarantee them to have one game a month, $5 a month, And in that sense, they are supporting you, the game maker. They are supporting, and it's going to you, not the frickin' suits or the stupid decisions that the CEO makes. It's going to the developer. And you get all of that money, and you're able to hopefully make something great with that. So we'll see. That's a very hopeful, very optimistic idea, but maybe it won't be the case. Most likely what's going to happen is these people are just going to spread out to other games, and hopefully that will improve the other stories and other high budget games, because some of them need some work for sure. So I'm sorry, Telltale, that had to go like this. It was an absolute shame. If you want to check out my Telltale Batman review, which, in hindsight is probably a little dated. So, all right, guys. Support Telltale. Let your thoughts be heard. And Bloodhound Town. Out.